Hi, my name is Harry Jacobs, and we are going to take a look at a brand new card game that I have not seen before, though I did play a game similar from the same author. And this is going to be Rocks in Our Space. It's the year 2562 AD, and humans are not the only race exploring and settling the universe. Dwindling resources in their own worlds have compelled aliens to reach out to our solar system in search of natural elements. Humans are calling it an invasion, but the aliens, it is an expansion. Strategically play your attack and strategy cards to take control of the rocky planets and moons in the solar system. That is what the game is all about. This is a simple filler game, and we're going to take a quick look. Let's unbox this and put it down on the table. So, Rocks in Our Space. Here it is. It's a very simple card game, and we're just going to quickly unbox it. I took the shrink off because it was just a little bit unwieldy to do it online. And here are the rules, as you would expect to find in any game, hopefully. Now, I have not played this game. I have played a very interesting game from the same designer, Sultans and Kings, which is a crusade-like game. So I believe this is a similar mechanism, but until I read the rules, we don't know that. We have our 14 cards: Europa, Io, Callista, Triton, Titan, and they've got all these fun facts. So look at the artwork, very nice. These games are somewhat educational. You can see the fun facts here for Venus. What's a fun fact for Venus? Third smallest planet in our solar system. Here is Io. Oops. Third largest moon of Jupiter. That's a fun fact for Io. Europa, largest moon of Jupiter. Callista, second largest moon of Jupiter. Here, largest moon of Neptune. So these are our universe. There's Pluto. Oh my God, Neil deGrasse Tyson would be very unhappy because we know that it's not a planet, but it doesn't call it a planet. It says it's the ninth largest object directly orbiting the sun. I don't think, I think it still should be a planet, but they're still working on it to get it reclassified as a planet, apparently, according to our fun facts in 2006. So, write a letter to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who decided that it wasn't really a planet. These are, so each person is going to have a set of cards. You can see the green and red. This is a dueling game. And through the game, you will lay your cards down on the planets. Each one is a value, so there's kind of hidden movements. If it has it like the Sultans and Kings, there will be a card. Some cards will be face down, some cards will be faced up. And at the end of the game, basically, you're going to see who wins the planets. So it was a pretty simple game. The artwork is pretty plain. Infantry, what do we got here? Truce. No one can add cards to or remove cards from this battle. So once you're happy with it, you can lay a city blaster. There's the fleet cards. We can cloak, add one to your battle score. Each person has the same card, and then you'll lay cards on these planets, and at the end of when all the cards are gone, you're going to actually tally up the different scores. Now, there are different ways of playing, I believe, if it's like Sultans and Kings, where you will be able to have sort of its advantage to take one planet over another, and there's probably a couple of home planets in here, but I'm not sure till I read the rules, so I'm not going to speculate. Well, I am speculating because I'm saying it here. But the artwork is good, the card quality, really good. The rules are small, everything fits in a little card box. I'm going to have a little trouble reading these rules because they're small and I'm old, but that's just the way it goes. So join me in a minute when I get this set up and learn the rules, and we're going to learn how to play Rocks in Space. That's almost as fun as much saying as Pigs in Space.
And now another controvertible episode of Pigs in Space.
Here we are. We're starting looking at some of the components here of Rocks in Our Space. And we have the Earthers, and they are that greenish color right here. And these are the Gorabs. Each player starts with a number of cards. And you can see that we have a big gun, Space Force, Naval, Infantry, and Heavy Infantry. And each one has a value, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Gorabs have a mothership, City Blaster, Fleet, Eliminator, and Scout. Again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Each player has a series of tactics cards. Now, because of the lighting, we have white on a really light blue. You really can't see it much, but we'll bring up them. Both have an identical set, and I don't know how well you can see it. So we have a +1 advanced tech, add 1 to your battle score. A truce, no one can add cards to or remove cards from this battle. We have united, we add 2 to our battle score. And an EMP, deactivate all weapons that have been played so far. That is the forces for the Earth Force and the Gorabs. If we are successful, the Earthians will close the portal to our Gorabs. If Gorabs wins, they of course take over the universe, destroy the Earthians, and that is the end. This is a quick playing game, and we're going to set that up in just a minute. Basically what we're going to do is play 1 card at a time each turn. We have an optional action and we must deploy a card. The optional action allows us to move a card. Depending on some of the rules, it allows us to reveal cards, because we're going to play the first 3 rounds hidden, and then we can reveal cards as we need, and then we're going to play some of these strategy cards. I'm going to go through some of these rules. We are not going to be playing a full game today because it really is a true duel. It's not competitive solitaire like so many Euros or so many other games. So it makes it a little bit harder to demonstrate the game. But I'm going to give you enough of the rules to get through this. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to lay out our universe. We're going to give you some examples of play. And then we're going to go through some scoring. And then we're going to give you a few final thoughts on this game. So we're going to start to set up our planets. So the humans at the end of the game, if they control Pluto, will get an extra +1. And this is Triton. If the Gorabs control it at the end of the game, it is +1 for them. So these are ways of extra scoring the game. Now we're going to put out our first set. Our first set is the Jupiter set. And we will put them across the top. We have Europa, Io, Ganymede, and Callista, and that is the Jupiter set. And they have point values at the end of the game, 2, 2, 3, 3. So whoever has the victory will have over these planets, or rocks, as they call them. They will score those points for having the most battle-ready cards on the planets or rocks. Next up, we have our Saturn set, which is Rhea and Titan. Rhea is only worth 1, Titan is worth 3. We have our Earth set, the Earth and the Moon. So if you capture a full set, these are worth +1. Of course, capturing this set is going to be much more difficulty. Then we have Titania, Mars, Venus, and Mercury. And that is the setup for the game. As easy as that. 12 cards and our 2, basically, I'd like to say home base for the Earthians and the Gorabs. So at this time, the Earthians are ready to take their first turn, and there is a bit of bluffing here. And the first 3 turns, we're going to turn a card upside down and play them. There can never be more than 3 cards upside down. However, you can always turn a card to the face side and play another card upside down. That certainly is a strategy. There's also a number of rules that you cannot move cards, because you certainly can move cards as well from one planet to another. That is an option. However, if there's a card like the Truce card, you cannot move those to another. So there's some very basic rules around that. So basically you can only deploy one card per turn, as we did here. So we'll take our scout. We'll take our scout or our infantry, and we will move it to the Gorab player. You may not deploy a card from the battle area back to my hand. So now that I've laid this card, I cannot pick it back up and play another card. You may not deploy a card from a rock that has a truce card on it. That is a strategy card, and that looks like this. It says truce on it, and if there was a truce card like that, I have locked this planet down. Or perhaps the Gorabs would put what he thinks is a really high card on here, and then next turn locks it down. So there is that possibility of locking that down. You may not change the sequence in which the cards were played onto a battle, i.e. you cannot deploy a card from one position to another position in the battle. That's certainly important when you have these strategy cards, like a truce card or an EMP. Because if I had an EMP here, all the cards are no good above that. You do not count the battle scores. So you can't take the Earthians couldn't take another card from down here and put it up here. So there's just some minor rules around that. The Gorabs, of course, kind of like the same idea, but what they're going to do is they're going to put their first card down here on the home planet of Triton. And that's as simple as a turn gets. Now, I jumped ahead a little bit. So each of us have laid our 3 up face down cards, and we would be ready now to decide on what we're going to play on the right side. So one of the things I could do is, you can see that I have not locked anything down here. So one of the things I could have done, and it's not an optimal move, if I was the Gorabs, actually I would have done something like this, just to put a little nerve-wracking there on the Pluto side of the world, at which point then I would put a face-down card, perhaps, on Triton. So I'm going to take this heavy infantry and say, well, I'm going to want to do that. Now, in this case, I have to play it face up. The Gorabs would respond to this as well. The Gorabs decided to put their truce card right here. They don't know what is under this, but they've decided that there is going to be no more cards going into Pluto, and they have to protect it themselves right here. And that is a legal move, of course. It would come back to our Earthians. And unfortunately, he couldn't lay the EMP down here. So earlier on, he says, fine, I'm going to do the same thing. No, he says, I'm going to do the same thing. There's a truce here now. So we've blocked each other from these 2 planets. So at the end of the game, basically, we will get 2 points each for these planets, but we will not be able to, there will be 2 points, but there will be no extra points here for this. And the game goes on and on and on. He goes, I'm going to put a 4 here. I can answer that very easily by putting a 3 here. He says, I'm going to put a scout here. Now, we have yet to determine whether or not we're going to move cards, but let's just say we've come back to our Earthians. He decides he's going to reveal, the Space Force, and he moves it up to Io. Now, the reason why he's doing that is because he certainly doesn't want the Gorabs to grab that whole set, and then he can actually then play another card upside down. There he goes, just like that. And this game continues throughout play until everybody has played every card in their hand. So the game is only basically 13 turns long, where you take turns laying cards down, revealing cards, moving cards around. So let's get to the example so that we can show you how the game scores. So here we are, and I have deployed all the cards. Now I've just jumped ahead to just explain how these scoring at the end of the game happens. Remember, we are looking for battles for each of the planet. So starting with Pluto, we know that the Earthians are really interested in that. So if you remember, we played that card, but he only played a 1 on there. Then our Gorabs played their mothership and then put a truce card down. So at the end of the day, Red wins the day here and receives 2 points. And the Earthian does not receive any points for this or any bonus point. You can see we have Triton here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have 7 in the truce. So basically they did the same thing, but the battle was longer. But you can see how many empty planets are out here. By focusing here, there wasn't really any sets that they took. But let's just say we looked at this as an example, and we'll just put that back, and we'll say that the green took this planet just for the sake of saying it. Here we have the moon. We can see obviously the green force has taken it with a 3, and we'll get 2 points at the end of the game. Here is an interesting, we have 4 and then 5. So again, red wins that planet. Now here we have an EMP. So we have 4 and 4. They were tied. He put an EMP down for Io. So on Io we have a 4, which basically cancel each other out. Then the red put an EMP here, but I was able to sneak in. The Earthians snuck in a infantry on top of that and was able to take the day here. We have 1 naval force here. One of our cards is upside down. He was bluffing. He put a +2 down on Rhea, but without a naval card or a space force card, that doesn't give us any points whatsoever. We have no points for Mercury. As you can see, Earth Force put a EMP on the City Blaster and nothing happened here. So there's a real balance. Do you go after the big long battles and try to take a couple of planets, or do you really try to go after a lot of locations and spread your forces thin? So there's a little bit of strategy and bluffing that's going to go on here. Basically here, if we have a 2 and 3, which is a 5 and another 5, again, nobody wins that planet. So you can see it could be a very low scoring game. And then we have 2 over here that are both upside down. And we have a +1 and a 1. So the Earth Force would take that because the Gorabs would take that because the +1 on its own means nothing. Again, that's just a bluff. And you can see we have 2, 5, and we took the big one. Earth is 10. So we have 10 points for our Gorabs. We have 2, 4, 7, 9 points for our Earthings. So the portal is open. The Gorabs have come in. They have taken over the universe. And that is the end of the game. This game plays in about 10 to 15 minutes, sets up in about 5 minutes, and tears down in about the same thing, 5 minutes. This is a nice little light strategy game, something you can play on your lunch hour, something you can play very, very quickly with a friend during a break. Take it camping. A fabulous little game. I highly recommend it for those who like these type of duel type games where there's some slight strategy, a little bit of take that, and a little bit of bluffing. You almost have to have a poker face here. And we can move things along the board. So there's lots of things to do in this little tiny game in that little tiny box. So that is our rocks in our space. There it is there, the rocks in our space. That is how it plays. I highly recommend it. You can pick it up at Games Crafter. I believe it was $19.95. The quality of the cards are excellent. Everything was good, as you would expect for a game that runs around $19.95. So that is Rocks in Our Space. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit the bell if you want notifications. If you have anything you want to say, put it down in the comments. I would love to hear your comments. I will put the link to the Game Crafters here for you. And that is all I have for this particular game today. Watch out for more games, more of everything coming. So this is Harry Jacobs. I will say goodbye for now. Enjoy your games and have a great day.